Hello Blender friends, and welcome to another Super3boy Blender tutorial. This tutorial is part of a series of tutorials that I will be doing on making an RPG game in Blender. It's been a heavily requested tutorial topic for a long time that I do something with the Blender game engine, possibly making a game, so I held an online vote, and the most heavily requested genre was an RPG. So I'm devoting an entire series just for making the basics of an RPG game, give you kind of a feel of the Blender game engine, and hopefully you can go on to create your own game. If you're not subscribed already, please do. There's email and RSS subscriptions on the blog. You can subscribe via YouTube. Lots of different ways. I suggest you subscribe because there's going to be lots of tutorials coming out, and you don't want to miss one, the continuation of the series. Right now, today we're just going to be making a cube character, and he's just going to like move around on the plane, and we're going to texture him and all that. It shouldn't be too hard if you've already seen my tutorials. We've gone over something similar in the UV map tutorial and the game engine tutorial, but this one takes a little bit farther. Well, the game engine in Blender is pretty powerful if used in the right ways. I've actually prepared 2 YouTube videos here. They're also in the video description if you would like to look at them further. And there's links to their actual download pages. Basically, these are 2 really good Blender games, kind of showing you the capabilities of the Blender game engine. So let's hit play here. I want to play a few seconds. As you can see, it's very fluid. Graphics look decent. So I mean, it's a pretty good looking game for free game engine that Blender offers. There's also, this is Duck Duck, but we also have Club Silo. This was actually made by a professional studio. Duck Duck was just made by one person over a series of weeks, so pretty easy to use. Let's play. As you can see, this little car racing game, pretty good physics, bashing into cubes and all that. But anyways, enough with those videos there. Let's go ahead and kind of get started on our project. Now, one thing before I continue, we're going to be working on a collaborative project, kind of expanding these tutorials into an actual game. And so if you're interested in that, just stick around at the end of the tutorial, and I'll be giving you all kinds of Blender news, so I won't clog up the first portion of the video. Let's just get started on the tutorial like you guys always like. Okay, so we're going to be using our default cube today, but what we're going to do, we're going to add a plane. So go into top view, add mesh plane, and then we're going to hit S for scale and 5. Scale up 5 times, just to give a basic plane for the cube to rest on. And then we're going to hit, I'm just using the Alt and left mouse button to kind of move around and get a better view here. Hit the G key, the Z key, and -1 to move it down 1 grid mark here. And then now we should have a cube resting on our plane. Now the first thing we're going to do is we're going to texture this cube using UV mapping. So what we're going to do, we're going to go over here to scripting, just a pre-made view, and then we're going to drag this over and make this a little smaller so we can see our model window a little bit better. And then I'm going to go down here and change this text editor to UV image editor. And as you can see, we have a little workspace here. Now, for this, all we have to do is go into tab, make sure everything's selected. A to deselect, A again to select everything, and we're going to hit U to unwrap, and then just click unwrap. And as you can see, big square appears over here in our work area, and these are all the faces of the cube. Now, if we're trying to texture something, that's not going to help us that much because it has all the cube's faces overlapping. And so if we're trying to put different things on each face, that's not going to work. So what we're going to do is we're going to select seams to help Blender unwrap it the way we want. So we're going to go down here to edges, right here. You might have to expand your window if that's covered. Hit the Z key to go into a kind of transparency mode so we can see everything. A to deselect everything. And then just follow along. We're going to select edges here. Make sure you're in that select mode right there. And I'm just holding shift and right mouse button to select the different edges. So you're going to try to make like a C shape here on both sides, and then that top one there. Then you hit Control E, mark seams, and it should go bolded kind of orange. And then all you have to do is A to deselect, probably go into face mode, A to select everything, hit U, unwrap, and now if we go back over to our work area, I'll zoom out a little bit so everyone can see, you should see all the faces kind of strewn out here. Now we actually have all our faces visible instead of overlapping, and we can actually use this. Alright, so make sure if you're in Vista, you're using, or you're running this as an administrator. Then we're going to go over here to Image, or UV, Scripts, save UV Face Layout. Okay. And then we're going to save this as, I don't know, cube. Cube. And I'm going to save this on my desktop. So let me get the location here from another file. Just bear with me. And then click. And then there we go. It should be on the desktop somewhere. Let's refresh to find it. Did I save it in the right place? I'm not sure. Let's see. UV scripts. Alright. Paste on the desktop. Cube 2. Here it is. Alright. So what we need to do is we need to take this and open up in an image editor, Photoshop, Paint.net if you need a free image editor. GIMP should also work. And just follow along. I'm going to be doing this in Paint.net. You can get it at getpaint.net if you want to use Paint.net, but you can use GIMP and Photoshop. So we're just going to open it up. And here we have all our faces in an image file. Easy and simple. And so what we're going to do, we're going to kind of demonstrate how this works by just putting numbers on these and see where they correspond on our actual cube. So let's go over here to the paintbrush tool. Select, I don't know, 5. You can use text tool, doesn't matter. I'm going to put a 1 here, 2 here, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Yay, Super3boy can count. So we're going to save that. Hit OK. I'm going to go back to Blender, Image, Open. Then we're going to go over here to Cube 2 and Open Image. And then as you can see, The layout's already perfect. We don't have to edit anything. Go over here, go back to object mode, change this to textured, and now we should be able to see our completely textured cube. So as you can see, we have 1 and 2 over here, 3, 4, 5 on this side, and 6 on this side. So if we were making a kind of game thing here, probably want this 1 to be the face of our cube. Probably put a little smiley face here, and these would be our sides here. And also notice that the way this worked out, this 1 is actually rotated 90 degrees. So when we put an image here, we probably want to rotate that face counterclockwise this way. So let me show you some images that I've prepared for this particular tutorial that will texture and make a kind of character with it. We'll call him QB because he's a cube. So I'm gonna get out of this, go to my desktop here. Now these images right here will all be available on the blog. There's going to be a link in the video description as well for all the resources you need. Yeah, just go to nistic.com blog, search for this particular tutorial, and you should find all the files you need. And you can just do the Blender category if it's been a while and you can't find it on the main page. But again, it'll all be in the video description. But we have several images here. We have a cube front. I'll go ahead and open it up. It's, as you can see, it's a fairly large face here that we'll use. And I've also have his side without the big old smiling face. And then we have this transparent cube here where you can actually edit to your own color taste. If you want it pink, blue, red, yellow, whatever you want to do. I have a transparent PNG file for you to edit, so you can make them your own color and make modifications if you want. So those are the 3 images available for us. Now I've actually already prepared a little something, but let's go ahead and just do this over so I can show you how this works. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to open up the front one in paint.net, open with paint.net, and the sides, paint.net, and then what we're going to do, we're going to edit these so they fit in all these individual squares here. So this image is way too big to fit in here, and so we're going to resize it by percentage 25. Just make it smaller if you're on GIMP or Photoshop, something that we can actually fit in the other image. And we're going to create a new layer. However you do that in Photoshop or GIMP. And then we have our big old face here. And we're going to do the same thing to the other image, 25%. Copy and paste it on a new layer. And there we go. So let's move this out of the way to this. Get started here. I'm going to kind of deselect the layer there. And we're going to take our first cube and we're going to make it a bit smaller here. I'm going to use selection tool so I can kind of select it. So select the cube, go to your resizing tool, and we're going to make him a little bit smaller. So he's going to fit right there where it says number 1. So kind of bear with me as we try to fit it into here. Let's go down. There's a little white space at the bottom. Alright, so it's filled in that black outline. Looks fine. Also, remember that we have to rotate it counterclockwise because our 1 was a little messed up. It wasn't straight up and down, so should be able to go to rotate counterclockwise. That rotates the whole image. So let's just copy and paste this over to a new document. Go over here, rotate 90 degrees. Should be these options on GIMP and Photoshop. And let's move this all the way down to cover the old cube here. And that looks like that should work. So now we have our cube front face working. Let's go over here to, actually no, we already have this on another layer. Let's resize this as well. Just select it by any means here. Then we're going to take it and we're going to resize it like we did before. I'm going to just fit in this outline. Resize it. Fits perfectly. Copy it, paste it, and move it over. So the next one, paste it, move it over to block 4, paste it. Just bear with me as we try to fill out these UV layouts here. Paste it, and one more face to do. And ta-da! And we enable this layer, and then we just merge down a layer, however you do that in your other programs. And we're going to save this as finished layout.tga and save it on the desktop. Hit OK. So all we have to do is go back into Blender. Now this is kind of a mix tutorial. I'm teaching you how to use an image editor and Blender. I'm going to go to Image. We're going to go to Open. We're going to go to what do we call it? Finished. I don't see it in here. Maybe I saved it somewhere else. Let's make sure it's saved on the desktop. Finished layout. Alright, should be there. Let's see. Just click the button there and it refreshed it. So we're just gonna go to finish layout, open image, and ta-da! You have all our faces there. Didn't work out. Let's go back in here. Actually, you have to have the cube selected. Whoops. So, go to image, open, finish layout. Okay. Ta-da! All our faces line up perfectly. And there we are, our happy, smiling cube. So now, from here, we actually want to make him move. And so we're going to go up here to Model. Get back out of that. Make sure you're in Object Mode, Textured, so we can see his nice smiling face. And we're going to go down here to Logic. From here, we're going to set him to Dynamic Body. And Bounds, just leave it a box. And those should be decent settings for now. So if I was to select him, move him up on the Z axis, just hit the Z key, rotate him randomly, hit the P key, as you can see, performs like a real cube would do if it fell on a little plane there. So, pretty realistic. Alright, so now we're going to use logic bricks to make controls to move them around. So we're going to add 5 sensors, 5 controllers, and 5 actuators. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I again demonstrated that I can count. Now we're going to set these always here to keyboard instead. And you can use these little arrow keys to make it a little bit smaller. And you have to connect these little connectors here. I don't know what to call them. But you just click on one and then you drag over and then you let go when you get to the other one. And so we set this one, first one to keyboard. We click on this thing called key, this little button here, and hit the key we want. So the up arrow key. Then we collapse that. Keyboard, the down arrow key. Keyboard, left. Keyboard, select that, hit the right arrow key, and we're going to collapse it, that little arrow, and then keyboard, spacebar, that's probably going to be for jumping, and collapse that, and connect all these little wires right here. So it goes from the sensor, which picks up that we press the key in the keyboard, controller, then it goes to simple motions where it kind of performs action on the objects. Also, guys, file, save as, cube, guy, save early, save often, because you'll be really upset if this thing closes while you're working on something and you lose all your work. I've done that a few times because Blender doesn't ask you, do you want to close if you actually hit the X button, and so you lose all your work, and it really is not good. So Control S, save early, save often. Alright, so we're going to collapse all these here, and then we're going to connect these up straight across, and there we go. Alright, so let's look at one of these panels here and drag this up so we can see this better. Now we have location, rotation, force, torque, whatever. We went over this a little bit in the game engine tutorial. This one is, I believe, the x-axis, this is the y-axis, and this is the z-axis. And so this is going to move it how many, whatever the setting you put it, it's going to move it over on the x-axis. But since we're going to do jump, it's the simplest one to figure out. We're just going to set this at 1. And that's going up on the z-axis when we hit space. So we're going to hit the P key, kind of zoom out so we can see everything. Hit space, and whoa, he goes flying off into the open air here. That's probably not good. So we're going to kind of tone that down to 0.1. You can kind of play with the location settings to get a better value. And so now he makes a nice little hop. Just what we want. Alright. So if we get out from that and select simple motion here, what we want to do is we want him, when you hit the up arrow key, to move forward, back arrow, back, and the left and right arrows, we want him to rotate a bit. And so I believe you set this but 0.1 and this at negative 0.1, and he should move back and forward. I might be wrong, you have to play with it. So no, that's actually reversed. So we want to change this to negative 0.1, and I'm just clicking on it and then typing in the values, and 0.1, and then we hit P key, moves forward and back when I hit the forward and back arrows. Cool, that's exactly what we want. Save, and then we're going to collapse those and do our right arrow keys, or left and right arrow keys. Now I could set this to location, move him left and right on the plane, but that wouldn't work as well as if we just rotated him and be more realistic movements instead of not being able to move diagonally. So let's go over here. I believe you select z-axis. Let's make this point 1. Make the other one negative point 1 and see which way he goes. And as you can see, he rotates just the way we want it. Left arrow key, right arrow key. And then we can hit the forward arrow key. And he's just doing circles there. And since there's absolutely nothing for him to do, he gets a little crazy and he just jumps off the side of the world into the endless blue blender abyss. Alright, so in this tutorial, this is actually just about it. You can play around with QB and have fun, but that's just about it for this tutorial. We've learned how to properly save a layout, a face layout, edit it, and put it on our cube here. And then we've also taken the cube and put him kind of in a little plane, and we've using the logic bricks we were able to just kind of move him around like that, all live and looking very good. And so, I mean, that's just about it for this tutorial. In the next tutorial, I will be expanding the world under him, so he has a little bit more to do. If you want to share this with friends and family that don't have Blender, you can always go to File and then save as runtime, and it'll save it as an exe. You might need some DLLs from your Blender installation, but you can check on that. I'm sure there's plenty of tutorials you can find on Google on that. Alright, well, now that we're pretty much done with this tutorial, I just wanted to show you a few more things, or tell you about a few more things. If you don't want to listen, be my guest. Bye. Nice seeing you. But if you do, there's lots of things I want to tell you about. Like I said before, we're going to be doing a collaborative project, probably on Nistic. There's links to more information in the video description. Basically, we're going to be taking the last tutorial of this series, and we're going to be taking and expanding it into a playable, usable, fun game. Hopefully we can reach the quality of Duck Duck or Club Silo. And so it'll just be a basic RPG game, and we hope you guys will, if you want to improve your experience, get feedback, work with people, submit models and the like, then visit those links and we can see what you guys can do, find some team leaders, and kind of get this project organized. There's also a bunch of other game developments in the forum that people are working on, and you're happy to join one of those and kind of improve your skills. Also, we're starting a model gallery here on the forum. I'll actually show you it. If you go to mystic.com, click on forum, model gallery, and here you can find really great renders. Here's a frag grenade with a blend file for you to use in any of your projects. If you have some blend files laying around, might just let it stay on your computer and do nothing when you can just kind of upload it and let people use it and give feedback. And so go over to forum.nistic.com, register, and throw up a few blend files that you have with your objects, and later on I'm making some improvements to the site right now. Later on, there's going to be a website, or the Improvenistic will actually have collaboration tools where you can, upload your blend file, see different revisions of it, and get a lot of feedback and suggestions from the users. Alright, there's also one other thing, Fast F12. If you haven't heard of it already, let's just go to mystic.com on the blog, and here's a little screenshot of it. Basically, it's a render manager for Blender. If you're going out for a little bit and you have a bunch of things that you want to render, for example, if you had an animation, you wanted to render specific frames, you want to render 1 to 29, 50 to 122, 200 to 500. You couldn't do that in Blender. You'd have to either render the whole thing, or you'd have to do specific frames and then wait for that to complete and then start the new thing. And so I created a really simple program that you can download. It's for Windows right now, but it will be for Linux and Mac later. Basically, you just pop open the program. It's really small. It's only, I don't know, a few kilobytes. And you just hit, you add your project here, set the file, you add the number of the frames you want, so like 1 to 50 or whatever, or you can render just a single frame from it, and you can do multiple blend files and different settings and all that. And so it's cool if you're, like I said, going out, and you can set the save directory so it's not all in the temp directory. You can set where you want each render job to go. And so you just hit that, and it'll just give you a nice little progress bar on how that's going. And you can just, like I said, going out, you want to render a bunch of stuff, launch up this program, hit render, forget about it. Also, there's another really cool feature that I just added. It's called idle time rendering. Click this checkbox, set the number of minutes you want it to wait, and if you're idle for, in this case, 1 minute, it's going to start rendering your jobs right here. And so that's great if, instead of like setting it, you can just launch the program, do all the settings, hit render with this option enabled, and you can be doing your work, and then when you get up and leave the computer to go do something else, it's gonna after a minute, it's gonna, or however long you set it, it's gonna start rendering those things off. And if you come back, it's just gonna pause it, and so that's not gonna tie up your system resources while you're trying to do other things. So that's a handy feature. And also, like I said, with the idle time and pauses it, you can also, while doing a job or a bunch of jobs, you can just hit pause. That's something you can do with just the regular Blender. You can't pause doing renders right in the middle of them. So, I mean, if you're like, hey, oh, this thing is taking a while to render, but hey, I want to play a game, and I don't want to close out my render, hey, just hit pause, play your game, and so it's not using up all your system resources, and it runs great. And also, it's renders things a little bit faster because it's using a bit less resources than opening Blender. So I hope you'll try that out. Like I said, links in the video description, and you can find the latest releases on the blog here. This is actually version 1.4, and it features kind of a new interface with icons and all that stuff. It was a lot uglier before this. So anyways, that's it for this tutorial. I hope you learned a bunch of stuff about the Blender game engine. You can use this to make a basic game. We have much more tutorials coming after this. detailing a lot of aspects of the Blender game engine. And so don't forget to subscribe, blog, preferably YouTube, so you don't miss the next tutorial that's going to be coming out probably in a few days. Alright, well, this is Super3boy, and I'm wishing you good luck, and I will see you guys in the next tutorial on kind of expanding the world that the QB runs around and play with, probably add some obstacles and just make it a little better, add some scene objects. So I'll see you guys in that tutorial. Alright.